A simple cry for help became the day Deathworlders changed everything. Commander Kai Reeves stood in the observation deck of the U.S. Starbreaker, watching the swirling nebula paint the darkness with streams of purple and gold. 3 years into humanity's first deep space exploration mission, and the universe still took his breath away. The ship hummed quietly around him, carrying its crew of 14 through the void between stars. "Commander," called Navigator Zara Okafor from the bridge, her voice cutting through the peaceful silence. "You need to see this. We're picking up something unusual." Kai made his way to the bridge where his crew was gathered around the central console. Communications officer Dmitry Volkov looked up from his station, his usually calm expression replaced by confusion and excitement. "Sir, we're receiving a transmission," Dmitry said, adjusting his headset. "But it's not from Earth, and it's not from any known human colony." Chief Engineer Priya Sharma looked up from her diagnostic screens. She was young for her position, but her brilliant mind had kept the Starbreaker running flawlessly for 3 years. "The signal's origin point is approximately 12 light years from here. The frequency modulation is completely foreign to human technology." Kai felt his pulse quicken. After decades of searching, had humanity finally found proof they weren't alone? "Can you clean it up? Make it intelligible?" Dmitry worked his controls with practiced precision. The bridge fell silent except for the soft beeping of instruments. Even pilot Axel Rodriguez stopped reviewing his flight plans and turned to listen. "Got it," Dmitry announced. "I've filtered out most of the interference. Here's what we're dealing with." The sound that filled the bridge made everyone freeze. It was clearly artificial, clearly intelligent. A series of harmonic tones that rose and fell in complex patterns, but underneath the alien melody was something unmistakably desperate. "Computer," Kai said, his voice tight with anticipation, "analyze this transmission and attempt translation." The ship's AI responded immediately. "Analysis complete. Signal contains mathematical progressions indicating intelligence. Translation protocols engaged. Confidence level 84%. Play the translation." What they heard next changed everything. "To anyone receiving this message," the computer's voice said, taking on the cadence and emotion of the alien transmission, "this is High Counselor Thane of the Kythara Federation. Our worlds are under siege. The Void Plague has returned after 1,000 years of peace. Our cities are falling, our people are dying, and we have no weapons to fight back. We are a civilization of scholars and artists. We know nothing of war. If there is anyone out there who understands conflict, who knows how to stop death itself, please help us. We estimate 4 days before our last stronghold falls. This message will repeat until our civilization ends. Please, someone help us." The bridge was completely silent. Kai looked around at his crew and saw the same expression on every face: shock, horror, and something else. Determination. "Distance to their location?" Kai asked quietly. Zara checked her instruments. "At maximum speed, approximately 3 days. 3 days, Kai repeated. He thought about the desperation in that alien voice, even filtered through the computer's translation. "Computer, how long for a message to reach Earth Command and receive response?" "At this distance, approximately 18 days for complete communication cycle, Commander." Kai closed his eyes. 18 days to get permission. By then, according to the alien message, an entire civilization would be extinct. But if he changed course without authorization, he'd be court-martialed. "Commander," said Security Chief Tyler Brooks, his voice steady and sure. Tyler was a veteran of the Mars colonial conflicts, a man who understood the weight of impossible decisions. "We're the only ones who heard this. We might be the only ones close enough to respond." "We don't know what this void plague is," Kai replied. "We could be flying into something that could destroy us and contaminate Earth." Dr. Nia Jennings, the ship's xenobiologist, spoke up from her science station. "From a scientific standpoint, this is first contact with an alien species. We can't just ignore it. And they specifically asked for help from those who understand conflict." Axel closed his navigation manual and looked directly at Kai. "Commander, I didn't sign up for this mission to run from the hard choices. These people are dying." Engineering Chief Priya nodded firmly. "The Starbreaker has defensive capabilities. We're not helpless." Kai studied each face on his bridge. These were good people, brave people who had volunteered to spend years in the unknown reaches of space. He thought about humanity's long history of fighting against impossible odds, of standing up for those who couldn't stand up for themselves. "All right," he said finally. "Dimitri, send a message to Earth Command. Tell them we've received what appears to be an alien distress call and are investigating. Include all data we've collected." "Already composing the message, sir," Dimitri replied with a slight smile. "Zara, plot a course for the source of that transmission. Maximum speed." "Course laid in, Commander," Zara said, her fingers dancing across her console. "Priya, I want full diagnostics on all systems. If we're flying into a war zone, everything needs to work perfectly." "You got it, Commander," Priya said, already pulling up system reports. Kai settled into his command chair and looked at the stars ahead. Somewhere out there, people were dying and begging for help. The UES Starbreaker was just one ship with 14 humans aboard, but they were going anyway. "Tyler," he said to his security chief, "break out the emergency armaments. I have a feeling we're going to need every weapon we have." 3 days later, the UES Starbreaker dropped out of faster-than-light travel at the edge of an alien star system. Commander Kai Reeves stood on the bridge watching the main screen display a binary star system with 6 planets orbiting in complex patterns. There, Zara pointed at the 4th planet, a world of blue oceans and green continents. The signal originated from there. But as Kai studied the planet, he could see something terribly wrong. Dark patches were spreading across the surface like oil spills, and the northern continent was almost completely black. "Those dark areas," Dr. Nia Jennings said, her voice hollow as she read her sensor data. "Commander, I'm not detecting any life signs from the affected regions. It's as if everything organic has simply vanished." "How much of the planet is affected?" Kai asked. "Approximately 60% and expanding," Nia replied. "At this rate, the entire planet will be consumed within 24 hours. Axel looked up from his pilot station. "Commander, I'm detecting massive energy signatures in orbit. Ships, but not like anything in our databases." Tyler checked his security sensors and his face went pale. "Commander, those vessels are enormous. Each one is at least 10 times the size of the Starbreaker. And there are over 30 of them." Kai felt ice form in his stomach. They'd come to help, but what could one human ship do against an entire fleet of alien dreadnoughts? "Can we establish communication with the planet?" he asked. Dimitri adjusted his equipment. "Sending a message now, using the same frequency as their distress call." They waited in tense silence. Then Dimitri's console lit up with an incoming transmission. "Put it through," Kai ordered. A voice filled the bridge, musical and harmonious even in its desperation. The computer quickly provided translation. "Unknown vessel, this is High Counselor Thane of the remaining Kythara stronghold. We did not expect anyone to answer our call. Are you truly here to help us?" Kai stepped forward. "This is Commander Kai Reeves of the human vessel UES Starbreaker. We received your distress signal and came as quickly as we could. What exactly are you facing?" There was a long pause. When the alien voice returned, it sounded shocked. "Humans? You come from the world designated as Terra Prime, the Death World?" Kai looked around at his crew, confused. "I'm sorry, Death World? Earth is our home planet, yes?" Another pause, longer this time. When High Counselor Thane spoke again, his voice was filled with amazement and terror. "Commander Reeves, your world is classified by the Galactic Concord as uninhabitable. The surface teems with predators, toxic atmosphere, crushing gravity, deadly radiation, and constant geological disasters. Most civilized species consider it a nightmare realm where nothing should survive." Dr. Jennings stepped forward. "High Counselor, could you describe your world before this attack?" "Our world has always been perfect," came the reply. "No dangerous creatures, no severe weather, no disease, no conflict. Our greatest challenge was deciding which beautiful sunset to watch each evening. We have lived in perfect harmony for millennia." "You've never had wars?" Tyler asked, incredulous. "Never fought anyone?" "War?" The alien voice sounded confused. "We do not understand this concept. Violence is incomprehensible to us. When the Void Plague ships arrived, we tried to hide, to flee, but we do not know how to harm another being, even to defend ourselves. Kai began to understand. That's why you sent the distress call. You were looking for someone who knew about conflict. Yes, we hope to find a species that understood warfare, that could help us stop the Void Plague. We never imagined someone would come from a death world. Your very existence proves that life can survive anything. Tyler shook his head in amazement. They're completely peaceful. They literally don't know how to fight. Tell us about this Void Plague, Kai said. What exactly are they doing? They consume, High Counselor Thane replied, his voice breaking. They land on our world and devour everything organic. Plants, animals, even the soil itself. They convert all matter into their own substance, then move on to the next world. They have destroyed 43 civilizations in our sector over the past century. We are the 44th. How long have they been attacking your planet? Kai asked. 8 of your Earth days. They work without rest, consuming everything in their path. Soon there will be nothing left but them. Kai looked at his crew of 14 humans against an alien fleet that had destroyed 43 worlds. The odds were impossible. But then he thought about Earth, about humanity's history of fighting against overwhelming opposition, of refusing to surrender even when defeat seemed certain. High Counselor Thane, we need to meet with you in person. Can you transport some of our people to your world safely? We can bring you to our last city, yes? But Commander Reeves, you should know that many of my people are terrified of Deathworlders. We have heard stories that your kind are savage and violent. Tyler almost smiled. Right now, that's exactly what you need. We're not here to hurt anyone, Kai assured the alien leader. We're here to help. But you're right that we understand fighting. On our world, we had to learn these things to survive. Perhaps. High Counselor Thane said slowly, the qualities that make your world terrible are the same qualities that might save ours. Prepare to receive a small team, Kai said. We're going to figure out how to stop this Void Plague. As his crew prepared for humanity's first face-to-face meeting with an alien species, Kai couldn't help but think about the irony. Humanity had always been ashamed of their violent nature, their history of war and conflict. But now, for the first time, those same harsh qualities might be exactly what was needed to save innocent lives. The Deathworlders were about to teach the galaxy what it meant to survive. Commander Kai Reeves stepped off the transport onto the surface of the Kithara homeworld, and immediately understood why these people had never known conflict. The landscape was breathtakingly perfect. Crystalline spires rose from gardens that looked like they'd been crafted by master artists. The air smelled of flowers and carried the sound of gentle music. Commander, Dr. Nia Jennings said, scanning the environment with her equipment, this ecosystem is impossibly balanced. No competition, no predation, no disease. It's like someone designed a paradise. Behind them, Security Chief Tyler Brooks and Marine Lieutenant Finn McCready carried equipment packs. Both soldiers looked uncomfortable in such a peaceful place they were trained to spot threats. But here there was nothing dangerous except the growing dark zones on the horizon. High Counselor Thane approached them from a nearby building. Kai's first sight of an alien took his breath away. The Kithara was tall and elegant, with pale silver skin that seemed to shimmer in the light. His eyes were large and kind, and he moved with fluid grace. Welcome to our world, humans, High Counselor Thane said, his melodic voice carrying through the translation device. I must admit, you appear less formidable than we expected. Kai smiled. We come in different packages. Thank you for agreeing to meet with us. Other Kithara began gathering around them, but Kai noticed they kept their distance. Their large eyes showed curiosity mixed with fear, and some whispered nervously in their musical language. Your people seem nervous, Tyler observed. High Counselor Thane looked embarrassed. Forgive them. We have heard tales of Deathworlders beings who solve problems through violence, who find satisfaction in causing pain to others. We don't find satisfaction in violence, Kai said firmly, but you're right that we know how to fight when necessary. This is what we cannot comprehend, High Counselor Thane replied. How does one choose to harm another living being? The concept is completely alien to us. Dr. Jennings stepped forward. On our world, we had to fight to survive. Not because we wanted to, but because we had no choice. Dangerous predators, natural disasters, disease, and yes, sometimes other humans. Fighting isn't something we enjoy, it's something we learn to do. A younger Kithara approached cautiously. Are you truly willing to fight the Void Plague for us, even though we cannot fight beside you, Miss? Lieutenant McCready nodded. That's exactly why we're here. Suddenly, the ground shook violently. In the distance, a massive explosion lit up the sky like a second sun. The Kithara around them made sounds of distress and began moving away from the light. They have breached the Eastern Barrier, High Counselor Thane said sadly. Soon they will reach this final city. Kai pulled out his binoculars and looked toward the explosion. What he saw made his blood freeze. Massive black shapes were flowing across the landscape like liquid death, consuming everything in their path and leaving only barren darkness behind. We need to see them up close, Tyler said grimly. Understand how they work, how they fight. High Counselor Thane looked horrified. You wish to approach the Void Plague? That is certain death. Maybe for your people, McCready said, but we're used to dangerous situations. Kai made a decision. We split up. Some of us stay here to help evacuate civilians. Others scout the enemy and find their weaknesses. I'm going with the scout team, Tyler volunteered immediately. So am I, added McCready. Dr. Jennings looked up from her equipment. Commander, I'm detecting unusual energy signatures from the Void Plague ships. I should stay here and analyze them with the Kithara scientists. High Counselor Thane led them to a tall spire where other Kithara worked with glowing crystalline instruments. These are our greatest scholars. They have been studying the Void Plague since they arrived. A female Kithara scientist approached them. Her skin was darker silver than the High Counselor's, and she wore intricate jewelry that seemed to pulse with inner light. I am Scholar Valen, she said. We have learned much about these entities, but we do not know how to stop them. Tell us what you've discovered, Dr. Jennings said, setting up her own equipment. The Void Plague operates as a collective consciousness, Scholar Valen explained, activating a holographic display. They share thoughts instantaneously across vast distances. They coordinate perfectly with no individual will or creativity. A hive mind, Kai said grimly. That could be an advantage. They all think the same way. They might not adapt well to unexpected tactics. What else? Tyler asked. Scholar Valen manipulated the hologram, showing the massive ships in orbit. They have been doing this for millennia. They arrive at a world, consume all organic matter, then move on to the next target. They are efficient and methodical, but they've never faced resistance, McCready finished. Every world they've hit was peaceful like yours. Correct, High Counselor Thane said. In our region of the galaxy, war is unknown. We have no weapons, no military knowledge, no understanding of combat strategy. Dr. Jennings studied her scanner readings. Commander, I'm seeing something interesting. The Void Plague ships appear to be powered by consumed organic matter. They're literally eating the planet to fuel their fleet. So if we cut off their food supply, we might be able to weaken them, Tyler said. Kai looked at his small team. 2 soldiers, 1 scientist, and himself against an alien fleet that had destroyed 43 civilizations. But they had something those other worlds didn't have. They knew how to fight dirty. Alright, here's the plan, Kai said. Tyler and McCready, take a stealth shuttle and get as close to those ships as possible. I want to know everything about their capabilities and weaknesses. Understood, sir, both soldiers replied. Naya, work with the Kithara scientists. Find out everything you can about their technology and biology. Look for something we can exploit. Already on it, Commander, Dr. Jennings said. Kai turned to High Counselor Thane. We need to start evacuating your people to the safest areas possible. How many can you move? Perhaps a third of our remaining population, the alien leader replied. But Commander Reeves, even if you save some of us, the Void Plague will still destroy our world. Kai looked out at the perfect landscape, then at the darkness spreading across the horizon like a cancer. Maybe. But we're not giving up without a fight. That's what Deathworlders do best. As his team spread out to begin their desperate mission, Kai couldn't help but think about how his life had changed in just a few days. A week ago, he was a simple exploration commander. Now he was preparing to fight an enemy that had conquered nearly 50 worlds, armed with nothing but human stubbornness and the hard-won lessons of a planet that didn't forgive weakness. The Deathworlders were about to show the galaxy what they had learned in their violent cradle among the stars. The Void Plague fleet hung in space like a swarm of mechanical locusts, their black holes absorbing light and hope alike. Commander Kai Reeves stood on the bridge of the US Starbreaker, watching the enemy through the main screen. For the past 18 hours, his team had gathered intelligence on their enemy. Now it was time to fight. "Commander, I count 53 enemy vessels," reported Navigator Zara Okafor. "They're maintaining perfect formation, just like Tyler and McCready described." Tyler Brooks stood beside Kai's command chair, his expression grim. They moved like clockwork. No improvisation, no individual thinking. They just overwhelmed targets with superior numbers and coordination. "That's going to be their downfall," Kai said. "They've never faced an enemy that thinks outside their programming." Dr. Nia Jennings looked up from her science station. "Commander, working with Scholar Valen, we've made a breakthrough. The Void Plague communicates using quantum entanglement on a very specific frequency. If we can disrupt that frequency, we might be able to sever their hive mind connection." "How do we do that?" Kai asked. "We've modified the Starbreaker's communication array to broadcast interference on their quantum frequency, but we need to get close to their command vessel to make it effective." "Make it happen," Kai ordered. Lieutenant Finn McCready checked his weapon systems one final time. "Commander, I've analyzed their attack patterns. They always deploy the same ship types in the same formations. They never vary their tactics because they've never needed to." Kai nodded. "Then we give them something they've never seen before." The Void Plague fleet began moving toward the Kythera homeworld in their unstoppable formation. The massive ships were organic-looking, like enormous black insects with weapons that pulsed with dark energy. "They're beginning their final assault," Zara reported. "Same pattern as always, landing craft first, then the capital ships move into harvest." Kai took a deep breath. This was it. "All right, everyone. Time to show them what Deathworlders can do. Axel, take us in. Use the planet's gravity well to build up speed." "Gravity assist maneuver," Pilot Axel Rodriguez said with a fierce grin. "I love it when we get creative." The Starbreaker dove toward the planet, falling into the gravity well and picking up tremendous speed. The Void Plague ships, programmed to follow predictable patterns, didn't react to this unorthodox approach. "They're not changing course," Tyler observed. "They don't know what to make of our trajectory." "Naya, start broadcasting the interference signal as soon as we're in range," Kai ordered. "Ready, Commander," Dr. Jennings replied. The Starbreaker whipped around the planet and shot up toward the Void Plague fleet like a bullet fired from a cannon. The alien ships finally began to react, but they were too slow. They tried to form their standard defensive formation, but the human ship was already among them. "Broadcasting now," Naya announced. The effect was immediate and devastating. The perfect formation of Void Plague ships began to break apart. Some vessels stopped moving entirely. Others began flying in erratic circles as if they had lost their sense of direction. "It's working!" Tyler shouted. "They're completely confused." But Kai knew the confusion wouldn't last long. "Tyler, McCready, you're up. Take the assault shuttle and board their command ship. Plant the charges." "On our way, Commander," McCready said. The two soldiers sprinted to the shuttle bay while Kai continued his attack. The Starbreaker was tiny compared to the massive Void Plague vessels, but Axel flew it like a fighter craft, weaving between the enemy ships and avoiding their increasingly erratic weapons fire. "Remember what we practiced," Kai said. "Three-dimensional thinking. These ships are programmed to fight in flat formations." Axel nodded and suddenly rolled the Starbreaker inverted, diving under the entire Void Plague fleet. The enemy ships couldn't follow the maneuver. Their programming didn't include tactics for omnidirectional combat. "They're trying to reorganize," Dr. Jennings reported, "but their communication is still disrupted." On the planet's surface, the Void Plague landing craft had stopped their advance. Without clear orders from the command ship, they simply waited in place like broken machines. "Shuttle away," came McCready's voice over the radio. approaching the command ship now. Kai watched on screen as the small shuttle approached the largest Void Plague vessel. It was 20 times bigger than the Starbreaker, covered with organic weapons that writhed like living things. "They're not targeting us," Tyler's voice crackled through the comm. "I think they're too confused to coordinate individual threats." "That won't last," Kai warned. "Get in there fast." The shuttle disappeared into a docking bay on the command ship's hull. Kai continued flying the Starbreaker in impossible patterns, keeping the enemy fleet confused and off balance. Long minutes passed. Then McCready's voice came through the radio, breathless with excitement and horror. "Commander, you need to see this. The inside of this ship, it's like a massive organic computer. Everything is alive, all connected together like a giant nervous system." "Plant the charges and get out," Kai ordered. "Already done, sir. But Commander, Tyler was right about something else. These ships aren't just coordinated. They're literally parts of one enormous living organism." The shuttle emerged from the command ship just as the explosives detonated. The massive vessel convulsed like a wounded animal and began to drift, dark fluids leaking from its hull. Immediately, the other Void Plague ships became even more disoriented, flying in random directions without their guiding intelligence. The command ship is their brain, Dr. Jennings realized. Without it, they can't function as a collective. Kai saw his opportunity. "All ships, this is Commander Reeves. Begin Phase 2. 6. Kithara vessels emerged from behind the planet's largest moon. They weren't warships, the peaceful Kithara had no such things. But they had loaded every ship they could find with improvised explosive devices. High Counselor Thane's voice came over the radio. "Commander Reeves, we have learned from you that sometimes violence is necessary to protect the innocent. We may not be warriors, but we can be brave." The Kithara ships flew straight at the confused Void Plague fleet, their hulls packed with every explosive device their civilization could produce. "They're sacrificing themselves," Kai said quietly, watching the alien ships streak toward their targets. "For the first time in our history, we choose to fight," High Counselor Thane said over the comm. "Thank you for showing us that courage comes in many forms." The Kithara ship struck 6 of the largest Void Plague vessels, destroying them in brilliant explosions that lit up the entire star system. The remaining enemy ships, already disoriented by the loss of their command vessel, began to retreat in complete disorder. "They're running," Axel said in amazement. "The Void Plague is actually retreating." "First time that's ever happened," Tyler added as his shuttle returned to the Starbreaker. Kai watched the Void Plague fleet limp away into deep space, their perfect formation shattered, their hive mind broken. "Naya, are you still detecting their quantum communication signals?" "Very weak and fragmented, Commander. I think we've permanently damaged their ability to coordinate as a collective." Lieutenant McCready's voice came through the comm from the planet's surface. "The landing craft have shut down completely. They're just sitting there inactive." Kai sat back in his command chair, hardly believing what had just happened. A small human crew and a few brave aliens had defeated an enemy that had destroyed 43 civilizations. "Commander," High Counselor Thane's voice came through the radio again, "we do not have words adequate to express our gratitude. You have saved not just our world, but perhaps many others." Kai looked around at his crew. They were all smiling, exhausted, but proud. "High Counselor, we couldn't have done it without your people's courage. You were braver than you knew." As the Starbreaker headed back to the planet, Kai thought about what they had accomplished. The Deathworlders had taught the galaxy something new, that sometimes the qualities that seemed like weaknesses could become the greatest strengths. The Void Plague had never faced creativity, unpredictability, and the willingness to sacrifice for others. Now they knew what happened when they tried to consume a world protected by humans. The Deathworlders had arrived, and the galaxy would never be the same. 1 year after the Battle of Kithara Prime, Commander Kai Reeves stood in the Assembly Hall of the United Earth Council, looking out at the largest gathering of human leaders in history. Representatives from every nation, every colony, every space station had come to hear about humanity's first contact with alien life. "Commander Reeves," said Secretary General Amara Osei, "please tell us once more what happened out there and what it means for humanity's future." Kai stepped up to the podium and looked out at the faces of presidents, prime ministers, and military leaders. Behind him, a massive holographic display showed images of the Kythara homeworld and the defeated Void Plague fleet. 1 year ago, we answered a cry for help from a dying civilization, Kai began. What we discovered changed everything we thought we knew about our place in the universe. Dr. Nia Jennings joined him at the podium. She had spent the past year working with Kythara and other alien scientists, learning about galactic civilization and humanity's unique role in it. The galaxy is filled with peaceful species, she explained. Worlds where conflict is unknown, where everyone lives in perfect harmony. But this peace made them helpless when threats like the Void Plague emerged. That's where humans are different, Kai continued. Our world taught us to fight, to adapt, to survive against impossible odds. What we always saw as humanity's greatest failing turned out to be our greatest gift. The president of the European Federation raised her hand. Commander, what does this mean for Earth's future? Kai looked at Tyler Brooks, who now wore the uniform of the newly created Terran Defense Corps. It means we have a responsibility. There are peaceful civilizations out there who need protection from threats they can't handle themselves. We're not talking about conquest or empire, Tyler added. We're talking about being guardians using our skills to protect those who can't protect themselves. The premier of the Asian Alliance looked skeptical. And what do we gain from this arrangement? High Counselor Thane materialized as a hologram beside the podium. The Kythera leader had insisted on addressing the Earth Council personally. Premier Chen, your species saved our entire civilization, High Counselor Thane said. In return, we offer knowledge that will advance your technology by centuries. The holographic alien gestured, and the display behind Kai filled with images of incredible alien technology, faster than light communication, clean fusion energy, medical advances that could eliminate most human diseases, manufacturing techniques that seemed like magic. The Kythera are just one species, High Counselor Thane continued. Word of what humanity accomplished has spread across our region of space. 47 other civilizations have requested formal contact with Earth. They want to trade, to learn, to become allies. Kai saw the expressions of the world leaders change from skepticism to amazement. Ladies and gentlemen, we're not alone anymore. And because of what happened at Kythera Prime, we're not seen as conquerors or barbarians. We're seen as protectors. The president of the African Union stood up. Commander, what exactly are you proposing? Colonel Finn McCready, now promoted and serving as Chief Tactical Officer for the Defense Corps, stepped forward. We're proposing the creation of an international fleet. Ships crewed by volunteers from all Earth nations dedicated to protecting peaceful alien civilizations from threats they can't handle. Think of it as the ultimate peacekeeping force, Kai said. Not to impose human will on the galaxy, but to ensure that peaceful species can continue to exist without fear. The display changed to show construction sites in Earth orbit and on Luna. Massive shipyards were already being built, designed with both human and alien technology. The first ships of the Terran Defense Corps will launch in 18 months, Tyler reported. Each vessel will carry crews from multiple nations working together for a common cause. High Counselor Thane's hologram looked directly at the assembled leaders. Your species possesses a unique gift. You understand both war and peace. You know when to fight and when to show mercy. This makes you ideal guardians for those who know only harmony. The Prime Minister of the Commonwealth raised her hand. What about the Void Plague? Are they still a threat? Dr. Jennings answered, Our disruption of their hive mind appears to have been permanent. They've retreated to the Galactic Rim and haven't attacked any world since. But there are other threats out there, pirates, rogue AI systems, natural disasters that peaceful species can't handle alone. And there may be other threats like the Void Plague, Kai added. Enemies that only a species like humanity can stop. The Director General of the United Nations stood up. Commander Reeves, you're asking us to fundamentally change humanity's role in the universe, to become galactic protectors. Kai nodded. I'm asking us to be what we've always been at our best, protectors of the innocent, defenders of those who can't defend themselves. The only difference is that now our neighborhood is a lot bigger. The vote was unanimous. Every nation on Earth agreed to support the Terran Defense Corps. 5 years later, Admiral Kai Reeves stood on the bridge of the TDS Liberator, flagship of humanity's galactic fleet. Through the main screen, he watched as the ship approached a star system where another peaceful civilization was under attack by quantum raiders. "Admiral," said Captain Zara Okafor, now his first officer, "we're receiving a distress call." Kai smiled. In the past 5 years, the Terran Defense Corps had responded to 137 such calls. They had saved colonies from natural disasters, stopped pirates from raiding trade routes, negotiated peace between species that didn't understand conflict resolution, and faced down threats that peaceful civilizations couldn't comprehend. "Open a channel," Kai ordered. "Unknown vessels," came a desperate voice over the radio. "This is Administrator Korvek of the Peaceful Worlds Alliance. We are under attack by quantum raiders. Our defenses are failing. Please, if anyone can hear this." "Administrator Korvek," Kai said into the comm, "this is Admiral Kai Reeves of the Terran Defense Corps. We're here to help." The grateful response was immediate. "Thank the stars. We heard that if you call for help, the Deathworlders will answer." Kai looked around at his bridge crew. They came from 18 different countries on Earth, working together as one team. The ship itself was a marvel of human and alien engineering, armed with the best weapons humanity could devise and powered by technology gifted by grateful alien civilizations. "All right, people," Kai said, settling into his command chair. "Let's show these raiders what happens when they threaten peaceful worlds. Battle stations." The bridge hummed with activity as his crew prepared for combat. Lieutenant Commander Priya Sharma, now Chief Engineer of the entire Defense Corps fleet, monitored the fusion reactors that could power the ship for decades. Commander Dmitry Volkov coordinated communications with the other 11 ships in their task force. "Admiral," reported Commander Tyler Brooks from the tactical station, "I'm reading 23 raider vessels. They're using hit-and-run tactics against orbital platforms that have no defenses." "Cowards," muttered Sergeant Major McCready from his position at the Marine Command Station. "Picking on people who can't fight back." Dr. Nia Jennings, now Director of Xenological Studies for the Corps, looked up from her science station. "Admiral, the quantum raiders are using phase shift technology to avoid return fire. The peaceful worlds literally can't target them." Kai studied the tactical display. The raiders were small, fast ships that flickered in and out of normal space, striking civilian targets and disappearing before any response was possible. Against a peaceful civilization with no military knowledge, it was a perfect strategy. Against humans who had spent millennia learning every dirty trick of warfare, it was suicide. "Zara, take us in fast and low. Use the planet's magnetic field to mask our approach," Kai ordered. "Understood, Admiral," Captain Okafor replied, her fingers dancing across the navigation controls. "We'll come at them from the planet's shadow." "Tyler, coordinate with the task force. I want the Resilient and Defiant to flank from the outer system. The Indomitable will provide covering fire for the evacuation ships." "Fleet coordination online," Tyler confirmed. "All ships report ready for combat." The TDS Liberator swept around the planet's dark side, completely invisible to the raiders who were focused on their defenseless targets. The ship's stealth systems, upgraded with Kythera quantum technology, made them undetectable until they chose to reveal themselves. "Admiral," Dmitry reported, "I'm receiving a transmission from the lead raider vessel. They're laughing. They think the distress call is pathetic." Kai's expression hardened. After 5 years of protecting peaceful civilizations, he had learned to hate bullies with a passion that surprised even him. "Put me through to their leader." "Channel open, sir." "Attention, raider vessels," Kai said, his voice calm and professional. "This is Admiral Kai Reeves of the Terran Defense Corps. You are attacking a protected world. Withdraw immediately or face the consequences." The response came back filled with cruel laughter. "Terran Defense Corps? Never heard of you, little man. This system belongs to us now. Run away before we add your ship to our collection." Tyler looked up from his station with a predatory smile. "Admiral, I'm detecting exactly what Dr. Jennings predicted. Their phase shift technology operates on quantum frequencies we've seen before." "The same technology the Void Plague used?" Kai asked. "Modified, but similar principles," Naya confirmed. "We know how to counter it." Kai opened the fleet communication channel. All ships, execute Pattern Delta. Show them what Deathworlders do to bullies. The Terran Defense Corps task force revealed itself in perfect coordination. 12 ships materialized around the Raider fleet like ghosts becoming solid, their weapons already locked on target. The Raiders' leader sounded less confident now. What? How did you sneak up on us? Our sensors should have... Your sensors are designed to detect conventional drives and weapons, Kai interrupted. You've never faced opponents who adapt and innovate. Last chance to withdraw. The Raiders' response was to open fire on the nearest civilian platform. That was a mistake, Kai said quietly. All ships, weapons free, protect the innocents. What happened next was beautiful and terrible to watch. The Terran ships moved like a pack of wolves, each one covering the others while closing in on their prey. The Raiders tried to use their phase shift technology to escape, but the human ships had already calculated their exit points. Quantum torpedoes locked on their phase shift coordinates, Tyler reported. They can't hide from us anymore. The first Raider ship materialized right into a spread of torpedoes and disappeared in a brilliant explosion. The others tried to scatter, but the human ships anticipated every move. They're not used to opponents who can think tactically, observed Captain Sarah Chen from the TDS Resilient. Her ship swept around the Raiders' flank, cutting off their escape route. Most civilizations in this region are completely peaceful, added Captain James Martinez from the Defiant. These Raiders have never faced a real military force. In less than 10 minutes, it was over. 15 Raider ships had been destroyed, and the remaining 8 had surrendered when they realized they were completely outmatched. Admiral Reeves, came Administrator Korvek's voice over the radio, filled with amazement and gratitude. We have never seen anything like that. You moved like dancers, but with such deadly precision. Kai smiled. Administrator, that's what happens when a species learns to fight for survival over millions of years. We got good at it. The Raiders fled so quickly, Administrator Korvek said. Will they return? Not to your system, Kai assured him. Word travels fast among the criminal element. They'll spread the news that this sector is under Terran protection. Dr. Jennings looked up from her analysis of the captured Raider technology. Admiral, these ships were part of a larger organization. They've been raiding peaceful worlds across this entire spiral arm for decades. Then we have more work to do, Kai said simply. Over the next several hours, the Terran ships helped repair damage to the orbital platforms and coordinated with local authorities to establish better early warning systems. As always, they made it clear that they were there to help, not to conquer or control. Admiral, Administrator Korvek said as the Terran fleet prepared to depart, how can we ever repay you for this service? By continuing to be who you are, Kai replied. The galaxy needs peaceful civilizations like yours. Our job is to make sure you can continue to exist. As the TDS Liberator jumped to faster-than-light speed, heading toward their next assignment, Kai reflected on how much had changed since that first desperate distress call from the Kithara. The Terran Defense Corps now operated 47 ships across 12 sectors of the galaxy. Every vessel was crewed by volunteers from Earth who believed in protecting the innocent. They had saved hundreds of worlds, stopped dozens of conflicts, and earned a reputation that made pirates and raiders think twice before attacking peaceful civilizations. Admiral, Captain Okafor said, we're receiving another distress call. This one is from the Gentle Harmony Collective. They say their entire system is being threatened by something called a reality storm. Kai had never heard of a reality storm, but that didn't matter. Someone needed help, and that was what the Terran Defense Corps existed to provide. Set course for the Gentle Harmony system, he ordered. Maximum speed. Aye, sir, Okafor replied. Estimated arrival in 6 hours. As the ship raced through hyperspace toward another crisis, Kai looked out at the stars and smiled. Humanity had found its true calling among the galactic community. They weren't conquerors or explorers anymore. They were guardians, protectors of the peace that most species took for granted. The violent children of a death world had become the galaxy's greatest hope for a peaceful future. And somewhere in space, another civilization was about to learn what it meant to have humanity answer their call for help. The Deathworlders had arrived, and the innocent could sleep safely knowing that someone was watching over them in the darkness between the stars. 10 years after first contact with the Kithara, President Shenwei of Earth stood before the graduating class of the First Galactic Defense Academy. The massive complex, built on Luna with technology from 50 different alien civilizations, housed cadets from across the galaxy. Today, President Chen announced to the assembled graduates, "We celebrate something unprecedented in galactic history. Humans and aliens training together, learning from each other, preparing to protect those who cannot protect themselves." In the front row sat Kithara cadets, their silver skin gleaming under the artificial lights. Behind them were representatives from dozens of peaceful species, all learning the arts of war from the masters, the humans who had turned survival into a science. But what made President Chen most proud were the human cadets scattered throughout the crowd. They came from every nation on Earth, every walk of life, united by a single purpose: to be the galaxy's guardians. High Counselor Thane, now Earth's closest alien ally, stepped up to the podium. 10 years ago, we thought Deathworlders were monsters. Today, we know they are heroes. These graduates will carry that tradition forward. Admiral Kai Reeves, now commander of all Terran Defense Corps operations, looked out at the young faces and saw the future of galactic peace. "You are not going out there to conquer or control," he told them. "You are going out there to serve, to protect, to ensure that peace remains possible in a dangerous universe." The ceremony concluded with the Academy's motto, spoken in dozens of languages by hundreds of voices. "We are the shield between darkness and light. We are the guardians of peace. We are the answer to every cry for help." As the new graduates dispersed to their assignments across the galaxy, President Chen turned to Admiral Reeves. "Do you ever wonder what would have happened if we hadn't answered that first distress call?" Kai looked up at the stars visible through the Academy's transparent dome. "The Kithara would have died. The Void Plague would still be consuming worlds. The galaxy would be a much darker place. And now? Now the innocent can sleep peacefully, knowing that someone will always answer when they call for help." Far across the galaxy, on thousands of peaceful worlds, children looked up at the night sky and whispered a prayer of gratitude for the Deathworlders who kept them safe. The simple cry for help had indeed changed everything. The galaxy would never be the same, and that was exactly how humanity wanted it.